Okay.
A.
So I have took the screenshot and I'll be using that as a reference. So first let me just rotate the artboard here we have. So for that I can go to layer.
Oh, you
Sorry.
know the last one, the last thing we did? I made the ball.
Yeah, yeah. Correct.
I made the ball, but I couldn't finish doing everything because I couldn't remember the steps.
Okay. No problem. So let's have a look at what we have at hand right now. So first thing first, I'm going to change the orientation to landscape. So that can be done by going to image. Then I can go for image rotation, and then I can choose 90-degree clockwise or 90-degree counterclockwise. Both of them will give me the same result. And then I'm going to say Control 0 to set it to the whole work area. And the snapshot I took, I'm just going to paste it, and I'll be using this as a reference. So I'm just keeping it on the side for now. Okay. Now we can build the whole thing from scratch, like everything if you want, or we can work on the graphic itself. So either I find out the can from Google, an empty can, and put the image there, or we can create the whole can also in Photoshop. That is not a problem. Okay. So first, we will attempt to create the graphic, right? And for that, we will require some images, the leaves and the flower, and remaining things we will create here only in Photoshop. The text and the typography and all those partitions, those things we create in Photoshop. So let's go quickly jump into Google and we will start looking for the images. So I want mint leaves. Mint leaf. Let's go for that. Okay, nice. So I like this one, or maybe this one. Okay, this one does not have any watermarks on it, so I'm going to pick this one out. So I'll just right click on it and then save the images. That is very important. Save images. I'm going to save it. There is a folder Lisa here. I'm going to save this. This is the patches. So mint leaf is done. Uh, what else can we put there? The other leaf is, let's first chart down the thing we are aiming at. So let's say I want some really herbal tea, right? Packaging for, because that will make it easier for us, right? So we'll have to first make sure what we are doing. So herbal tea, okay, and it's like from what, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is known for teas. And it has mint in it. And what else? It's very refreshing. And the name of the tea, right? So, uh, what should I name the tea?
Just mint tea.
Mint tea? Minty. Let's call it
Mint,
minty.
mint, just mint tea. Mint tea.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good name actually. Mm,
I would
okay, fine.
separate mint and tea though, personally. But
But there'll be two T. We are thinking of a brand, right?
and the second one's capitalized.
This one. Okay, fine. Let's keep
Yeah.
this. Right. So these are a few pointers we should keep in mind while researching and risk review. See. So some flowers also. I don't know what to write here. Uh, Give me some suggestions. What kind of flowers should we look for?
Mint has. I would look up mint flower, or I don't know if mint has a flower. It has a very
Uh,
small flower.
let's see if it has a flower. Oh,
Yeah, it's like these little
so
guys.
beautiful. Oh God, I have never seen the mint flower actually.
It's when the mint plant is like finished, but this one that's in the corner, the yeah, like these are good. The ones that are the sprigs.
This one.
So, but you don't when it goes to flower, then it's not any good anymore.
Okay.
It's like you have to break those out so so the plant still grows.
So we can put some other flower. What about clove? Instead of let's put clove flower. Clove or no,
No,
clover
that's
is
clover.
clove. Let's put clove. Right. This looks.
The Wikipedia one is kind of good, the little drawing.
How about this one? This is star shaped thing. This
Oh, that's
looks
star anise. That's anise.
right. That looks like we can put
We
some
could,
cinnamon and some this.
yeah, we could use cinnamon and anise. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just
S-
you could just it'd
s-
be like mint tea with
yeah.
those
So let
things
me
in it.
just save this. Save image as and we will save it
Yeah,
here. So we have
and
images
it's
now
okay.
with us.
It doesn't have to be perfect because it's just a mock-up for our purposes.
Correct.
We're not reinventing a tea.
Okay. And let's
The two of
save
us are
this one.
examining it like it's going to go out to production. Yeah, that's a good one too.
So we'll just save this one also, and I'll use this also in the back. Now we need to find out this empty white can, right? So let's blank white can,
Canister, right?
canister.
Canister. Oh, no, these are good. But I think you want more canister. These are like cans for like alcohol.
Canister.
Canisters, CAN.
NIST.
Yeah, there's canister.
It's giving me. Oh, this one is very close to what we are looking for.
That
So
oh, that's plastic.
we go with this one. Will this work?
That one would work.
Right. It looks like. Okay, yeah, I think this is okay.
That's good.
Okay. So we'll take this one. Mm, yep, this is the best we have. So let's save this one. Okay. What else we need? I think we are good to go. Right? Rest these things we will create on our own. And I see some pattern here, right? That
Yeah.
instead of pattern, we will use the image we have. And in the next class, because pattern itself is going to be a one single topic, and, patterns and items we'll do it in a separate class. Okay, so let's start bringing our thing here, and I'll make space first. Go to the images I have saved, and I'll select all four and then drag. The images are appearing on a second screen I'm using. So I'm just dragging all of it here, and I'm going to leave it. And one by one, I'll hit enter after resizing it, just approximately. Just drag it from the corner, and if you want it to resize from the center, hold Alt. That way, it will be in the center. So that's all. Yeah. So make it this big. Then comes this image. I want this one also smaller. Hit enter. Then comes this one.
So instead of Alt, I hit Option, right?
Yeah, instead of Alt, you hit Option. Right. So this way I want it to be. Say enter. Okay. So this is on top here, and I'll just quickly rename it to canvas. You can rename all these layers also, but for now, I'll just select all three of them and pull it on top of the canister because that is how you want them to. Now, one by one, we will take the challenge and finish it. So first thing first is isolating these from the background, right? We don't want the white background here. So we will just take out this much. And Photoshop current version of it has really made it very simple for us because it has the object selection tool. So there it is, the fourth tool in the toolbar. You click on that and you just have to hover on top of the object and give it some time. The AI will do its job and it will automatically select the object. You just have to highlight the object, and for selecting, we need to click on it once. That's it. And see, the selection is made, right? So in this case, it worked really nice because we had a white background. Okay, so now I need to isolate this in a separate layer. And to do that, I'm going to say Control J on the keyboard. Control plus J. J for Junior. Control J, and it copies it on a separate layer. Okay. And if I hide it, the bottom layer, it seems as if nothing happened. But actually, if I hide this one, you will see that the cinnamon got copied in a separate layer. Right? Okay. Now I'll just hide this for the time and switch on the layer on which all the objects are. And this time I would try to isolate this also. Right? And again, let's use object selection and let's just hover on top of it and wait for the magic to happen. And see, it selected, but it also selected something else. The font, the letters are also getting selected, which is fine. We can refine it later on. We can just click on it and then it's perfectly selected, and I think it automatically took care of it. So it's very nice uh, to have this tool in our toolbar actually. And once again, I'll have to ensure that the correct layer is selected and say Control J on the keyboard to isolate it.
You just click Control J.
Yeah, I'll just have to press Control J once the selection is active. Okay.
Okay.
Alright. And then I'm going to hide this one again and see this got isolated. Nice. And I'm going to place it here. So these two things are there. Do I need anything else from this? Maybe the clothes
No.
also? No? I think we are
Um,
done with this.
I think we're good. We're not making chai.
Yeah, we are not making the tea. But I think the bay leaves will be an addition, right? We can
No,
add
no,
the,
the bay leaves are different.
yeah, I know it's different teas, huh? But we can put it somewhere. Or maybe
Okay.
delete it. Who cares, right? As long as we are getting the
If you
benefit.
want the bay leaves, you take the bay leaves.
Yeah, thank you.
But just so you know, bay leaves are for like soup and stuff,
Okay, all right.
not so much for tea.
Yeah. So the
It's
selection
when
is
you have
done.
like more savory foods.
So I have isolated that one also, and then I don't need it any longer, this whole thing. I am simply going to drag it on the trash can icon here and let it go. So we have what we needed, and I'm going to select the layer 4 which has the bay leaf and then place it here. So I have all three of the things isolated. Now the time is to put the mint tea here, right? Now in this case we have the letter O in the center, which is sort of building the whole composition. So in this case, probably we can play around with the T, right? So we have mint T. So we have two T's in between. Now the typography again, we have to decide upon it, and it takes a while to come up with something creative. But whatever we have, we will work with that, and let's see what we can do.
If you capitalize the the mint T, like do it in caps, then between the two T's would be a good graphic area to play with.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Maybe.
what I was thinking. No, no, this is a good
I don't
idea.
know. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'd be stupid, but
No, no, it's a good idea. So now, what we need to let's create a flat graphic first. Let's not worry about the curvature and the tilt which it is going to have in the end, right? Because it is wrapped around the round surface. So first we will just think of a flat graphic and we will build it. Maybe I'll just hide this for now, the canister layer, and we will work on the flat graphic. So this is, and I'm going to use a bold font. So let's look for the bold version. We can go for Arial Black, but okay, fine. Let's go for Arial Black. I'm going to increase the size of it. All right, place it here, and we also require some sort of color scheme. So here only we will have to decide that. In order to make that, I'm going to create a new layer here. You can create it anywhere as long as it is visible and not hampering any other layers away. So I'm holding shift and creating a rectangle, and I'm gonna try to pull some colors from here. I'm clicking and dragging to find out the color of my choice, and I see this orange here, and I can double click on this and find out a lighter shade of that. Uh, and I'm going to fill this by saying Alt backspace. Then I'm going to switch to the selection tool back again and pull the selection slightly lower and press I on the keyboard to bring the eyedropper tool and then pick out a green color also. So this color is really nice. Maybe a slightly lighter version of it. So Alt backspace. Then gonna go back to the selection tool, go inside it, hold shift and then drop it down. And what color shall we use for the text? Black, certainly no. Maybe a brown color from this one. So let's hit I on the keyboard and go for the brown color. I think this is fine. We'll say Alt backspace. And then I think in terms of colors, we are sorted. We can use variations of these if needed. Okay. So we will just double click on this, got selected, and I need to switch to the eyedropper tool and then click on this one. And to change the color, the text color, there are a couple of ways how we can do that. Either we can just ensure the text layer is selected and the foreground color is set to what we need to change it into and say Alt backspace, that will do it. See, the color got changed. Or if it is too confusing, then the direct way to do it is select the text and see in the option bar you have that option, right? Okay. Now in this case, if you click here, then it automatically turns it into a eyedropper. As long as it is inside the color picker dialog, the eyedropper will not be visible. But we are not again going to define that color. We will simply go and then pick it from here. So this is another way of doing it. And then say OK. And the color got changed. Fine. Now let's do something with this T. I want to increase the size of these two. That can be done by pressing Control Shift and then period button. Okay, and I need to reduce the distance between these two also, and that can be done by selecting again both of them, and I can hold Alt on the keyboard, Option on the keyboard, and use my arrow keys. So the left arrow is going to decrease the distance between these two, right arrow is going to increase the distance between these two. What I'm doing here is I'm playing around with the kerning value. Okay, this is called adjusting the kerning. So I'm gonna pull this to make a shape like this, and maybe since we have the word Sri Lanka, we can make it into a gate or something like that, right? That we can try out. Yeah, some gate sort of thing and some mountain here. I don't know. We will see to that, right? So, okay, fine. This looks good. Now, now we will try to just bring these things and scatter them in a composition, transform them. I press Control T to bring the transformation gizmo, and I'm just gonna place it here. Right, then come to this layer and reduce the size of it. Okay, maybe bring this one below, uh, and the leaf is here. So I'm gonna pull this on top. Let me just quickly rename it. That's a good practice actually. And this is the star, right? And this is okay. So let's select the leaf, bring it here, and we are going to reduce the size of it. Or maybe I'll just, I don't know, maybe, maybe send it to the back. No, it looks dirty, right? Let it come from here. Or I think you were right about it. Let's bring our mint. Where is the mint? Not this one.
Mm.
Yeah, this looks nice, right? Okay. So this thing we can put to reduce the size, of course. I will bring it on top of everything. Now, if I put it on top of everything, there is a problem, right? It has a white background. So we should first isolate it from the white background, and that can be done again by using the object selection. We hover on top of it for a while. It will automatically pick the shape. I click once, right? And this time, because it's a single object in one small area, I can cut it. Let's just cut it. Let's keep it uniform. So Control Z and then get rid of this. So we have this on a separate layer. And reduce the size a little bit. And just keep it. And the stars are too big. Okay. So this looks fine. I'm gonna place it here. Mint tea. Okay. Mm, yeah. All right. So the organic protein powder. We'll also have to write herbal tea, right, somewhere. So I'm just going to quickly copy this. Control C and paste it here, and then we can put it. Uh, yeah, so duplicate. Reduce the size. I'm not paying much attention to the composition. The idea is to just compose it a few things together and learn as many as things we can. So let's say that I want to adjust the kerning value here. So I select everything and hold Alt on the keyboard and just do some typography. Maybe reduce the size a little bit and then increase the kerning. Yeah. Okay. All right. Link T, ability. Okay. All right. Let's switch on the. So all these things, let's just group them together. Uh, for that, we can select all of it. Uh, this layer, let me just put it here where I have the reference, these two layers, and here we have the color. So I can group these three and call it reference. Just making things tidy here, nothing else. And yeah, that image is there. The leaf we are not using. I'll just let it be there. So these layers, I'm gonna group them together and we will call it main what label. Let's call it main label. So this whole group is ready. Now we need to wrap it along this canister, right? So now ideally I should not be making it very big and like precisely what we are seeing here in the reference following that would not be the right thing to do, but definitely we'll have to wrap this around the curve that is needed. So I'm going to increase the size a little bit, slightly smaller than this, but it's not, you know, following the curvature. And to do that, there are a few ways how we can do it. So before I transform it, I'm going to make a copy of this layer. That is ideally how we should be doing. So I'll make a copy of this whole thing by saying Control J. So the whole group got copied, and then I'm going to hide the bottom layer and the top layer, which has the copy. I'm gonna right click and choose Convert to Smart Object. Okay. Now we can say Control T on the keyboard to transform it, and there are few options which we can use. I can use the wrap also, warp, by right clicking and choosing warp and manually do it. But since the shape is uniform in which I want to transform it, I all simply have to click on this icon here. Okay, so this brings us to wrap mods, and then we have some options here. Okay, and we are looking for arch, right? Let's click on this. and we see that it's arching a little bit, but we want it to in the opposite direction. So we have a control handle here at the top, which we can use to wrap it. Okay, but while doing so, I noticed that it's wrapping, but there it should be slightly smaller, right? This, uh, maybe for this thing, I think this is working all right. Uh, but then there are other wrap mods also, which we can try. Let's say flag, right? So the idea is to understand that yes, these options are there, and we can certainly use all these, right? So I can also go for this first, apply this, and then again say Control T, and again go to wrap mode. And this time instead of bulge, I can choose R, right? But see, it remembered the last transformation applied to it. So I'm gonna say Control Z, escape out of it first, or I'll just not accept it. So basically, it remembers the last transformation, right, which got applied to it. The moment I go inside the wrap mod, it remembers the last transformation applied to it. And okay, so if I apply this and go again in this mod, okay, in 2020, this version of Photoshop remembers it. Anyway, see, there is a simple method also. We have done one by wrap mods. The another one I want can be done by right clicking on it and then choosing wrap, the manual wrap. And here we have the control. No, it remembers the last wrap option. So I'll have to purge it down. Let me again convert this into a smart object once again. Or let's rasterize it. Okay, so rasterize it and then again convert this into a smart object. That should do it, I think so. Uh, yeah, that should do it. So when I go to the wrap mode now, then I have the option of arc available to me, and I can push it. Yeah, it remembers. It doesn't remember the last transformation applied to it. Anyway, we will go for the custom this time, and I'm gonna choose custom. And we also have a cylinder option by the way. So this is better for our purpose, right? Okay. So if I accept, so we have been able to achieve what we wanted, right? But in this case, I don't want it to be so big, right? We don't want this to be so big. So I'll just say Control Z a few times and again keep on saying Control Z till the time we get the graphic we want. And see, the thing here is if I go to the wrap mode and then choose cylinder and try to adjust it, it presumes that the end of the graphic is end of the cylinder. And that is the problem we are struggling with. So to fix that, we will have to add something extra here, right? So I'll just add something here, which we can delete later on. So let me quickly create another layer, alt backspace, and I'll make a copy of this by holding alt here, and we will merge all these three layers together by right clicking and choosing, or let's just simply merge by saying Control E on the keyboard. And now we will go to the transformation. So Control T, the wrap mode, and inside the wrap we will choose cylinder, and this time we get the perfect cylinder, right? This is what we need. Yeah. The slight distortion can be fixed by dragging this down, and to accept, click on this. Now the tiny lines you see is the graphic we had created, right? That can be taken care of by simply going to the selection tool and then selecting and deleting them. That's it. Okay, you can move it up. Perfect. Now, now the bottom part of it, this thing. So that is that can be created very easily just by writing a few lines and then creating. Uh, so let's say uh,
It would be
from Sri,
mint.
from Sri Lanka, or what should I type?
Um, well, do you want it to be the same kind of information or different?
No, let's just write from Sri Lanka, or what should I type?
They would write made and produced
Ah,
and produced in Sri Lanka
produced in Sri Lanka. That sounds good. Reduce the size of
or grown in grown. Actually, grown is a better word. Grown in Sri Lanka.
grown in Sri Lanka. And I like just the curly here to odd actually. Okay. And then I'll type premium organic tea. Let's call it that. And we'll change the font to narrow, reduce the size of the text. Maybe a little less. Or I think mine will be okay. And push it. Okay. And these lines can be added, but before that, I need to change the color. We can change this color to this, maybe this, or not. I think this is fine. This color we can change. Yeah, and we will have to add those lines here. So to create the lines, we can use uh, the under here we have line tool. So we'll click on that and create those lines. So I need to put one here, and it automatically picks up the foreground color. So no need to worry. And here also, if we
Hmm.
need to change the color, we can do that by selecting the line and going to the properties panel. We have control over the stroke. The thickness of the stroke also we can change. I can make it thicker, okay, but I need it only about 1 pixel, and I can make a copy, of course, by holding
The
Alt on the keyboard and dragging it down.
the third line or the
Mhm.
third bit of information could be fair trade.
Yeah. What should I write?
Fair trade.
Fair trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's create another fair trade. Okay. I think we should increase the width of the lines, right? So I'll say Control T, and if you want to do it on either of the side at once, you have to hold Option and drag it from one side. Okay. But there is a little problem with this line. It's or yeah, it's okay. I think we'll have to do it separately only in that case. Or after doing it, we'll have to again shift yours. Let's do them separately. Select one layer, say Control T, increase the thickness, increase the width, length should be called length. All right. So now we will just group all these things together. Control G, and we can place it here. And I think this is too big. We should actually reduce the size of it. Let's go for this much. This is fine. Yeah. And this group, this also can be reduced in size a little bit. Now, I feel that our canister is not having much space, so we can try increasing the size of the canister also. Let's do that. So I'm gonna select the canister layer, right click on it, and then rasterize it, and then make a selection right in the middle of it. Okay, and see, in this case it is going to work because we are working on a blank canister, and all I have to do is say Control T, and I'll just pull the bottom half. But as I do so, I see the transformation is happening from all of the sides. So I'll hold Shift on the keyboard and then pull it down, and the canister grows in size, right? Now this trick is not going to work on all the graphics. In this case, it is the ideal situation, so it worked. So I'm gonna say Control T. We have a bigger canister now, and the image which I wanted to put, uh, that is there. Wait, where is that image? So I want to fill the bottom portion with this image. Okay. So in order to do that, I'll have to select this much area, and inside that fill the bottom layer. So to do that, I'll have to be on the canister layer and make a selection. I'm gonna use the pen tool to do that. So we'll click here and click in the middle, and I'm just trying to match the curve here so it runs parallel to this. I have just eyeballed it, but people can, like, you can use guidelines if you want. I'm just eyeballing it, yeah, and then click here once, then try to trace the curvature. If something goes wrong, you can always hold Alt and then click and adjust the things. That's not a problem. I'm holding Control as I'm dragging the handles here and there, and just finish the selection. Hold Control, and I can fix this. So okay, If you don't need any anchor point, you just have to click on it with the pen tool and make sure that it has a minus sign appearing, and if you get rid of that, then you can hold control and then get a better curve. Alright. Yeah, so it's just a matter of time and how precisely you want to do it. Uh, the concept will not change regardless of the shape you have created. Now, this needs to be converted into a selection, which can be done by then right click and then choose make selection. Then this dialog box will pop up. Keep the feather radius to 1. It softens the selection actually. And then say OK. The selection is active and we need to make a copy of the content which is there. In order to do that, you have to say Control J on the keyboard like we always do. So what we did just we copied this on top of it. That much part, right? And we will use the layer clipping mask. Remember, we had done it earlier. So in that case, first I'll just make sure that the image is placed correctly, and I can reduce the size of it if needed. And I need to fill this inside this. So very easy it is. You have already done this exercise. All we have to do is hold Alt and click in between these two to send that image inside the container. And I can still move it and then find the right place. So I think this much is fine. Okay. And maybe fade it a little bit, reduce the opacity because that will make more sense here. All right. Yeah. Now this also we need to curve a little bit. So I'm gonna go to the group and then say Control T, and unless you convert this into a smart object, those wrap options will not be available to you. So let me just quickly right click on it and then choose Convert to Smart Object. Then say Control T. Now the wrap options are going to be available to me. And here I'm just going to choose R and do a little bit of just and, and accept. That's it. Okay. So this is how we can create a mockup. If we pay attention to more details, things can be refined better. Of course, suitable branding is required, but for the mockup, this much is fine. A better, composition here, a better typography, and better selection of images will really do wonders. And maybe a better cancer also. In this case, it's very simple. But now I can group all of these together, and this is our mockup. If needed, we can make copies of it also, or do some final corrections in terms of the dimensions or a little bit of transformation if needed. We can do that, and we can make, of course, copies of it also. And this white thing, once again, is troubling us, so that can be taken care of. Uh, let's say that I want to cancel us that side by side, and this white thing is creating problem. So I can go on top layer, choose do the masking. Wait, first let me make the selection quick. So I can go find out the cancer. Here it is, right? And I can use the object selection once again. Click on this. All right, and okay, yeah, and click on the mask button. Why is it chopping off its head?
It didn't select all of it.
Yeah, I didn't select all of it. So maybe I'll just try to manually include it in the selection. Yes, it worked. So I had pressed shift and then made a selection around it and it worked. And I'm just gonna mask this one so that we can have two copies of it. Okay, and collapse the group and the group below. I can place it like this, or maybe make it smaller. Let's say that there is a smaller path. In that case, I need to bring the smaller one in the front, or maybe let's make this one small. Okay, okay, yeah. So that's I think is a good starting point to
To
create the
practice it.
mockups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course you will be choosing much better images and much better typography will be there. Uh, but since we had other things on focus today, uh, the layer composition you'll have to study uh, by expanding, try and understand which is uh, what is where and why it's there. Okay, and create something like this, and we'll meet in the next class. Then. Any questions you have? Anything in particular related to today's class, or
Not at this moment. I didn't take a lot of notes. I just watched. So I'm gonna have to wait for the video for me to do it.
okay?
So I'll do the homework tomorrow.
No problem. So I'll just send the